If I can have you say your name, age, your major, and year in school.
Age. Okay. My name is Destiny Durant. I am 33. My major is journalism, and it is my 4th year. I'm a senior. Here at Cal State LA. Ooh, what was I like as a kid? I was an explorer, definitely. Very curious, kind of like my son now. I loved sports. I loved fun and just optimistic, I would say, as a kid. What stands out the most is how scared I was growing up. I was definitely a scared kid. I went through a lot as a kid. I didn't have my mom at a certain age. I didn't have my dad. I lost my dad to drugs at a certain age, so it was just me, my brother, and my sister. So what stands out the most to me is how scared I was and how I didn't really know what was going to come next. As a child, I would say that nobody's going to save you. You got to save yourself, and then a lesson that I learned was that I have to take care of me. I think, I missed a component of, love that I didn't get as a kid. Not saying my parents didn't love me, they did, but once they kind of, faded out of my life, I didn't have my mom when I was 12 is when I didn't have my mom, and then probably around like 13 or when I didn't have my dad, when he started like fading out. So I had to learn how to, take care of myself, and that's really it. Yeah. I feel like, getting pregnant has really taught me how important it is to have a village and have people that actually care about you around, because this whole experience, has definitely been different, so it's important for me to have, relationships, strong relationships, especially, with family, because I don't have a lot of family. I really just have, my mom and my dad. I call my dad my stepdad, but we have a very strong relationship. And I lost my sister to schizophrenia around like a couple years ago. When she was 23, she's 30 now. And that was one of the most important relationships to me. And when I lost her, it was really hard because she's not the same person she is. And she's going through a lot of, mental health things. And it's hard to not have that relationship where I can just get up and go pick her up again, So it's important for me to have that relationship with my mom, because I know it's important to her too, because she also doesn't have that same relationship that she had with my sister. So I would say it's really important to, establish these relationships with everybody, friends especially. Now my mom, definitely, my dad, my stepdad, and everybody here at Cal State LA has definitely been a lot of help. The professors, Professor Cox, Brown, Reyes, they have been so understanding and so, just compassionate to me, carrying my son, because I was scared. I was so scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, I'm not done with school. Like, that was one of the things I brought up to my mom. So it's, I would say definitely my family and my friends are my village. Oh my gosh. I'm only 2 months in, but it's meant a lot, like my mom always told me, it's a love that you'll experience. He'll be the love of your life. And she's absolutely right. Like, I was just telling Professor Lightford that sometimes when I'm looking at him, I get so excited that I can't breathe. And I know it sounds crazy, but I look at him, it's just giving me chills talking about him. Like, I love him. And I went through a lot with people that I loved, and I know that he's not going anywhere. And now all the love that I have, I can just pour on him, taking care of him, and I got somebody that's going to love me unconditionally back. Woo, man. Mentally it was a roller coaster, because when I found out, I was very upset because it wasn't, my plan. Obviously, I wanted to finish school and be further into my career. But, my mom helped me, come around, because I was like, in the beginning, I didn't want to find out what I was having. I didn't want to name him. I was like, I'm just going to wait till I have them, you know what I mean? But then my mom was like, you know, you don't want to do that. Like, this is going to be, you know, a blessing. And she was absolutely right. You know, once I came around, it meant everything to me to keep my peace while I was pregnant, you know, but the physical part was different. You know, I enjoyed seeing the stages of, you know, the months go by, the first trimester, second, and how I was growing, you know, but it was definitely a change. It was a lot on my body, a lot on my back, you know what I mean? But it was a beautiful experience. A specific moment in college, yeah, I would say transferring, because I went to a community college. I went to Los Angeles Valley College first, and it was a good experience. I met Dr. Coney, who was part of Emoja there, and he was the one that talked me into transferring, excuse me, because I wasn't going to. I was just going to get my AA and just get on and go on about my business. But he was like, you should, you know, the time is going to go. You should do it. So when I came to Cal State LA, I was so scared. Like, I low-key wanted to cry because I knew that I didn't have a moja coming here. So I was like, you know, how am I going to, you know, how is this going to work for me? How am I going to get through it? Like, you know, but then meeting the professors and, you know, experiencing them and getting through it, they're just, honestly, they're some of the best professors in my opinion.
If the younger version of you could see who you are today, what do you think she would say?
She would be proud. She would be absolutely proud. She would probably be cheering. Oh, that made me emotional. She would be very, very pleased. And, you know, I never thought that I would make it here. I never thought that I would be a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I never thought that I would have any kids. You know, that was something that I didn't think I was going to experience being 33. And I just didn't think I was going to ever earn my degree. You know, I didn't see myself at a university. I didn't see this. I never thought that I was smart enough. Whew. I never thought I was smart enough to make it to this point. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm not stopping. I'm going for my master's. I'm going for my doctor's. So that's what I would say. I am happy with the current version of myself. I think that I am the happiest I've actually been since I can remember. You know, I've accomplished a lot and I've done a lot of the things that I wanted to do. You know that saying when they tell you can do anything you put your mind to? I'm actually living that out. And like I said, it was like something that I never thought that I would experience. I just felt like, you know, I didn't belong or I wasn't smart enough. So, you know, yeah.
When your son grows up, what do you hope he will be most proud of in regards to you?
I would hope he would be most proud of just, you know, having me as a mom, you know, like my love for him and how I'm going to be there for him no matter what. Excuse me. And how I'm not going anywhere, you know. Not to say my mom was a bad mom, because she wasn't. She went through obstacles that took her away from me. But, you know, I just want to be 10 times better. So I just hope that when he hears the stories about what I've been through, that he's proud that he never had to go through anything that I experienced.
When people talk about Destiny years from now, what do you hope they say about you?
Oh, she made it through. She made it through. She making money. But I hope they say, you know, she made it through and she stuck with it, and she's, you know, she's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.